but do we think the US presidency has a big kind of control over the European fintech market?
Yes.
And if so,
indirectly.
On this episode of In Check with Fintech, we're kicking off 2025 with a lively conversation featuring Calum Peacock, Director of PCN Projects, and Shanone Kurca-Lopes, Senior Recruitment Consultant at PCN. This episode was recorded towards the end of last year, so you'll hear references to 2024 as this year and 2025 as next year. For those watching on YouTube, those Christmas sweaters were a festive note at the time of recording, not a bold January fashion statement. The discussion dives into fintech recruitment trends that shape 2024, the challenges and wins in fintech hiring, and what's on the horizon for the industry. From AI in recruitment to evolving candidate expectations, this episode offers insights and relatable moments to kick off the new year with purpose. Enjoy listening.
So yeah, welcome in this very Christmassy type of style podcast. Everyone wearing Christmas sweaters.
Thank
ho,
you.
Ho, ho. Welcome, Cal.
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's ugly. Does the job, doesn't it?
That's nice to hear.
But black, the color black suits you well, don't worry.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, quick dash to Primark last night.
Lovely. Yeah. It lends
Last
itself
minute as always.
really well for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Now a bit smoother of a Christmas jumper.
Yeah, I was telling the girls this morning, this is actually pop reference kind of thing. So Sabrina Carpenter released a Nonsense Christmas. This is very Sabrina Carpenter coded. So that's my Christmas ode.
I have to confess, I don't know who Sabrina Carpenter is. Can you sing a song?
No.
Before we reflect or look forward, I would say let's start with a little icebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
2 truths, 1 lie. I think we have a probably combined recruitment experience of about 30 years at this table right now, 3 decades. So I'm sure we all have. Yeah, you want to say something, Cal?
No, I was just thinking, is it 30 years? But yeah, it probably is.
Combined,
well, 10. There's 12.
3, 4? I don't know.
It's close to 30.
Not far off.
If you round it up, then
Round
you
up.
get to 30.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we all have a lot of stories to tell. Who wants to start with their 2 truths, 1 lie? Cal?
Yeah, I will go for it. After having 10 years of experience in recruitment, I've actually got a lot more than 3, but I've picked out a few interesting ones. So about 10 years ago, so when I first started my career, which was in construction recruitment, I actually got a call from my client. It was one of the first candidates I placed. And 3 months into the contract, I got a call from my client to say the police had turned up to the construction site looking for said candidate that I'd placed. And as you can imagine, as a trainee, that call that you get from one of your first clients was absolutely horrific. A second one, one of my first deals here at PCN, I think I was about 3 months into the job, with my then new girlfriend in Barcelona. I was in one of these food markets and it was our first holiday together, and I was on the phone pretty much the whole afternoon instead of enjoying the ham. And then thirdly, and I closed that deal actually, just to let you guys know. So it was worth the call. And then thirdly, I once turned up to a networking event, and the guy greeted me at the door, and I actually helped him carry up pizzas to the networking event. About 45 minutes into the networking event, maybe 30 minutes, I realized that the actual networking event I should have been was next door. And I was then in a presentation with a load of developers talking about Python that I had to sit through, and I couldn't leave because it was about 10 people. So they're my 2 truths and 1 lie. Let's hear what you think.
I think the police one is definitely a truth, I would say. That sounds very realistic.
It does.
I mean, you hear a lot of those, and especially you were in construction recruitment, so I think it's a different kind of population.
It probably had a little bit more so, yeah.
In itself. But don't they do background checks as well in construction recruitment?
Yeah, they do.
They slip through or something.
Yeah, it turns out I do a lot more referencing from that point.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I'd referenced the candidate, and it turns out he was on the run from the police. But yeah, there was nothing on Google or anything like that. So I think he needed to go to a court hearing or something. So I'm not sure he was a murderer per se. But,
okay, fair.
That was obviously a crazy call as you get as a trainee.
I mean, as anyone, even if I got this call now, I'd be...
Well, true, yeah. How do you react to that one?
No thanks.
Okay. The second one was Rather vague, but you basically had an afternoon where you had to spend calling, being on the phone, closing a deal.
Yeah, in Barcelona. One of my first deals.
Very realistic as well. I
Yeah.
think the third one's a lie.
I don't know, because I heard him and Chris discussing like a networking thing to put in this podcast. So I don't know if that the last one should be maybe true.
So what do you think?
I think it's the Python networking event is a lie.
You think the Python networking event's a lie? Okay.
I think the first one is the lie.
You think the 10 years construction recruitment, the
police thing.
The police
yeah.
one. Actually,
It's the second one.
it is the second one.
Oh,
And the only reason,
It was another CD.
And the only reason why it is the second one, which I didn't want to admit to, is the fact that I didn't close the deal. So I spent all afternoon, instead of enjoying Barcelona, trying to close this deal.
And
she went with another option. So
that's actually sad.
So it's devastating.
Devastating.
But yeah. So both wrong.
yeah. Well, you take a
Nice.
recruitment on holiday, don't you? Yeah. And
You have
sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah.
Exactly. But
Sure.
Ooh. Okay, so I closed my first deal in a changing room in Rome with my mom handing me clothes, and I was half naked on the phone negotiating a 30K contract.
Okay.
I went on a date with one of my candidates, and I closed my biggest deal of 90K just before a Vegas trip.
90K on one deal.
Yeah.
Well, I know what your biggest deal is, so I know it's not 90K, so your third one is a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can go with the same.
You went on a date with a candidate. How did that come about?
Yeah, so, well, in my defense, I didn't know. So we went on a date off like a dating app, normal, casual, you know? And then one day I'm screening someone on the phone and I realized that I'd seen that name before. And I kind of just changed my voice a little bit because it wasn't a good date. So then I just felt really insecure. And thankfully, the guy never like caught on.
Maybe he had the same feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it was a horrendous date for the both of us. I don't know.
So sorry, you went on a date with him before
Yes.
you met him as a candidate, and then he
Yes.
applied to a job.
Yep.
And then you realised it was the same one. Did you interview him then?
I
Or
pre-screened
you'd
him
already done
over
that?
the phone.
Yeah.
Like, but the thing is, it's my full name when I'm speaking to anyone, right? And on the app, it's obviously not. So I
Okay.
think he didn't really make the connection. Thank God. So yeah,
Or he did, and it was just another technique to get close to him.
Yeah.
that didn't work.
Yeah.
I had a candidate I approached once on LinkedIn for a job, and then we matched the same day on Tinder.
Ooh.
And we kind of chatted about it, but we never actually got to it.
Oh,
And we
really?
never spoke about a job either,
Yeah.
so I was
Ah.
losing on both ends.
Interesting.
That was a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my 2 truths, 1 lie. So when I was probably into the job about a year, I had this meeting with a client here in Amsterdam. Beautiful old building, probably similar to this room.
Mhm.
Walked in, there were a lot of doors, as you have in some of these older kind of establishments. Meeting was over and a really nice meeting. Obviously one of my first real meetings on my own. So I wanted to walk out the door, but I didn't know which one the door was. So I just picked the door, walked in, realized it was a closet. But I didn't want
With
to.
confidence.
I didn't obviously want to show, so I just walked in, closed the door behind me.
What, and just stood
Stayed
in a
the
dark
closet
closet?
for probably about 5 minutes, and then the client knocked on the door and said, "I think this is the wrong door."
I'm calling that one. That can't be true.
No,
but
that
let's hear-
has to be true.
Let's hear the other 2.
I'll tell you the
but-
other 2 first. Exactly. Yeah. The second one, I had a candidate it actually wasn't me, but there was a colleague at the time who had a candidate who was going for a first interview with a big corporation. First interview went really well. Then second happened. It was video. And the guy during the interview said, "I'm sorry, but I just quickly have to run an errand." So he walked away, went to the bathroom, it turned out. And the client, he made so much noise, but left the mic open. The client
the
heard
mic
him
was still on.
being in the bathroom, basically. And then he came back sweating and tried to continue the interview. But yeah, obviously.
And the
feedback,
mic was still on. Oh
wasn't,
my God.
Wasn't great. So that is story number 2. And story number 3, I had a candidate who was based out of somewhere in Eastern Europe, was going for an interview for a sales role with a company somewhere in, I think it was Germany or in Austria. Anyway, it doesn't matter. At the first interview, really liked him, wanted to fly him in. So I was helping with arranging tickets for that particular candidate. And when I asked the candidate, okay, when can you do? He gave me some time and he said, "Oh yeah, I also want a first class aisle seat with a paid for lunch."
Yeah. His candidate has got standards. I get it.
So I basically said, this is ridiculous. I went to the client and said, look, there were a couple other red flags that happened through the process. I said, look, I think we need to pull out this candidate.
Yeah.
Client agreed. I went to the candidate and said, look, this is not going to work out. So they're actually going to cancel the second interview. The guy got totally mental, started screaming at me, hung up the phone, then reached out to the hiring manager as well as to the CEO of the company to talk about the experience. Needless to say, that obviously wasn't a great experience for anyone.
Yeah. But I think that's one thing that I was hearing then. I think it's important that you did mention that. I think the client would much more appreciate that transparency.
Yeah.
If it's true.
If it's true, yeah. I think if a lot of recruitment, I think that there's probably recruitment agents out there, unfortunately, that would just hope that it goes well and they do the deal and they kind of push that and make it happen. But I think clients, definitely from experience, actually really appreciate the honesty, even if it's bad feedback. I think that probably gives you a lot more value to them.
Yeah.
They'll trust you more, won't they?
Definitely, yeah. But it's hard to do, right? Especially if you cling on to be the candidate that has made a great impression in the first round.
Yeah.
Then go back and have to deliver this. Yeah. Then I think it's good that we find out during the process, but what can we do in order to find it out during the kind of initial screening? You know?
Yeah.
So what's the lie then?
The first one. I just can't see you standing in a closet for 5 minutes.
Maybe it was like 2 minutes or something. I feel like you've done this, but maybe not for 5 minutes.
That's how I come across, that goofy and stupid, yeah?
No. No, but like, you wouldn't want to lose face. So you like, I don't know.
I mean, the first one is true for someone, but it's not true for me.
There you go.
So is that your lie then?
It's my lie.
But it is. Who did that?
Who was it?
No, I found it on Reddit, to be honest.
Wow,
I was like, that is a great story.
That is a funny
That
story.
is
I could
actually
have
really
definitely seen myself do that in kind of those first couple of meetings.
I would have done
so
that as well, yeah.
Yeah. Just one to add to the mix, actually. I've got one more that I'll finish on. It was at my previous company and I went to interview a candidate, and we used to interview candidates in like Costa Coffees or somewhere like that. So I drove to this Costa Coffee and I was standing around waiting, and I saw the guy and I went up and met with him and we shook hands and bought him a coffee. And we sat down with a colleague as well. And probably at 20 minutes in of me interviewing this candidate, I was looking at his CV on the table and it said a completely different name to who I was supposed to be meeting. So in my head, I started thinking, this is weird. This is really weird because he's answering my questions. We've met in the Costa Coffee. And I just said, look, just to confirm, this is the name of the person. He was like, no. Funnily enough, coincidence, he was supposed to be meeting a recruiter at the same time. And because I saw him on his own looking around for someone, and he probably looked familiar or similar to the other candidate, we just met each other and introduced and sat down and had 20 minutes of a chat. Completely wrong industry, completely wrong candidate. But yeah, that was an interesting experience. And I just couldn't hold in the laughter at that point either. So it threw me off. And then I finally met my candidate and apologized for obviously being late, hoping he'd see the funny side of it.
Yeah, sorry, I was right there.
Yeah, he didn't. And I just wasted his time. So, but that was a funny experience.
To make the bridge to kind of trends for 2025, do you think some of these are general trends, or is it more down to experience and confidence from the recruiter that helps you avoid these kind of instances with candidates or with clients?
I don't know. It depends on how you approach it, right? It's about being able to create a personable experience with your candidate or with your client or whatever the case may be, because you can come off super awkward, but you can also just, approach it. I think if you approach it with a very humane approach, then you should be all right. Because I see a lot of things online or even emails that I get or messages that I get that are just completely off the mark. And, I've gotten messages of this, sir or madam. I'm like, I don't know if I should be offended or if I should laugh if I get this or madam. Like, obviously, there's something going on. So I think it's about...
madam, what do you mean?
Like this, sir / madam.
Oh, yeah.
So either or.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, thank you for doing your research. Or, that's not inclusivity. That's just fucking stupid.
Yeah. But I think in answer to your question, I think there's always going to be human error. Always. I mean, we're not AI. We can't do things perfectly. But I also think that can be a good thing for people to really see the person and understand who you are as a person. And you will make mistakes along the way. You'll deal with so many different people. But I think that's actually just human error. It's never going to change as long as we are working in the job that we do and it's not AI.
Yeah, but,
Yeah,
see,
but
but
do you
that's the
think-
thing, because if I get a message that's dear sir or madam, 100% it's not been written by someone. It's they copy pasted or they use like an AI generator or whatever, and that just pisses me off because this is a waste of time for them. They're not concentrating on what they should be focused on, and it's a waste of time for me because then I have to sift through 100 automated messages like this that bring nothing to anyone. Do you know
what
what I
a
mean?
horrible AI tool are you
Yeah.
using if it doesn't even recognize
Yeah.
or lets you start with the name of the person? Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not even my name. It's
Even the most basic function in LinkedIn can allow you to at least add, I think the sex, definitely the first name.
Yeah.
And last name if you want.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think
Yeah.
AI, I mean, to go to that then, do you think AI will have what do you think AI's place will be in 2025 when it comes to kind of our job or talent acquisition in general?
Very big, which I personally think is a bit unfortunate. I think it can be super useful. Ourselves, we use those tools to automate things, right? But I think there's a big difference between automation and just completely foregoing human interaction, or as we said, the human touch and personality. AI is, if not used well, first of all, you can see that it's AI. It's just, it reeks of AI. It's like, oh, thank you, ChatGPT, for writing this. And yeah, if not used carefully, then it's just going to damage the industry. It's already damaged our industry, our reputation as recruiters. So
That
I
was
think
before AI,
yeah.
I feel. Is this kind of dear sir, madam
it was
messages?
like
That's-
early stage AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think now it's becoming more refined, which is also making it trickier. I think
Yeah.
in terms of applications, and I've seen a lot of false resumes about, so that's also a little bit scary.
True, yeah. Do you use it in your job a lot?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I was probably nervous at the start, but now from using it so much this year to speed up my productivity, I'm excited to see where it will go next year. I never think it will replace us as consultants and recruiters. I think, like I say, people buy off people, and they will do for years to come. But I do think AI's got a really important place for us to be more efficient. And yeah, I'm genuinely excited. I mean, I use it every single day without fail now. And it speeds up admin tasks that I need to do. Yeah, I'm all for AI.
Is it a topic of conversation with clients at all?
Well, funnily enough, yes. One of our clients in the Big Four is recently asked us to look for like an AI architect manager, which is one of the first AI roles that I've had to look into. But yeah, I think because we work within fintech, AI is going to play such an important part, and I think we, as recruiters, need to just constantly be evolving with it and keeping up with the trends, because our clients will. But yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Me too. Yeah, I mean, we obviously use it for we use a few tools now around AI, right? With Source Whale, that's more of an automation tool.
Yeah.
I would say in order to set up campaigns. We're looking into this Venti AI as well that will help us kind of scan the market for more kind of commercial business development type of opportunities. So I think there's some great tools out there. Yeah, for sure. Do you think, if you look at today versus end of next year, well, let's look at today first. Do you think people underestimate or overestimate the use of AI in specifically recruitment? I'm talking now.
Underestimate, I would say.
Yeah.
I think I'm just touching the sides with how I use AI, and I actually think one of the most important things to upskill myself in next year will be on AI and how to optimize that. That's a course that I want to do. I think I use it for basic admin tasks to make me more efficient, but it's so powerful that what else could I be using AI for? I personally think I don't get enough out of it, even though I use it every day. I think there's so much more to learn and so much more that it could help us as recruiters.
I think it's overestimated, to be honest. I think people think that AI is a solution to everything.
Yeah.
I mean, the way that it's presented, obviously our biggest tool, one of our biggest tools, LinkedIn, is presenting AI as if it's going to solve everyone's problems and you're going to find the perfect candidate with a couple clicks. I think it's highly overestimated at this point.
I agree. In my previous company, they literally, when AI started getting bigger and bigger, they did this like new branch of, okay, let's focus on AI recruitment, AI solutions. Completely flopped. Like it doesn't even exist anymore, that branch. And it's not that AI is not working or hasn't gotten even bigger. It's just that in recruitment per se, it's just you can't replace a person. You can't replace a consultant. It can help you, but it's not everything.
No.
So I agree with you. I think it is overestimated in recruitment. Not like in solutions for everyday, like for clients, for candidates, for sure, but for recruiters probably is.
Yeah, I agree. I was thinking about that LinkedIn AI tool, and it can find the hard skills, but on a LinkedIn profile, you can't. You don't know who the person is, what they're like. And for us, having met the client, it's really important for us to also understand the soft skills and how they get on. And AI can't do that at this point, can it?
And it's assuming that everyone will have an up-to-date LinkedIn profile with all of their experience on there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the keywords and the whatever.
Yeah, but even keywords. I mean, for years and years, we've heard candidates being reached out for, a salesperson being reached out for a developer role because they have Java somewhere mentioned on their profile.
Yeah.
Probably.
Although I know you said, I just personally don't think we should underestimate AI.
Oh, no, I agree. We should underestimate it, but I think it's overestimated right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, because how much do you use AI in your daily basis now? Maybe you don't use it a lot.
On a daily basis, I do.
On a daily basis. But 12 months ago, how much did you use it?
Not at all.
And now you use it every single day. So where would you be in the next year, 5 years?
I don't know. Yeah, that's the question, right?
So look at how much we're using it now in just the last 12 months. 5 years, 10 years, as people get more, as technology gets more and more advanced. Yeah, it's exciting, but it's scary, isn't it?
Yeah, I think in 2025, what it can replace in our job is probably the kind of selection process, sifting through CVs. I mean, you see now LinkedIn jobs getting hundreds and hundreds of applicants. I don't know what it looks like on the other job boards if clients post on there as well. But having a tool that can help you maybe screen through instead of having someone look at it. I mean, we probably spend 1 or 2 minutes on every CV, but let's say a hiring manager who isn't doing this on a daily basis might be doing that for a couple more minutes. So there's a lot of time wasted there. So I think that's probably where there's more applicability.
For sure.
I'd like to think that it won't replace personal relationships. Even a AI voice tool won't be able to replace, I think, building personal relationships, at least not in the next 12 months.
I don't think it ever will, personal relationships, because I think as recruiters, we listen to what people say, but we also listen to what people don't say or how people say things, which sounds a little bit complicated, but there's truth to that. I think we look for, and the longer you do it, and we'll all know this around the table, the longer people will tell you what they think you want to hear. So, but sometimes it's just listening out for are they really interested in that job? So if they could say to AI, really interested to proceed, and give a load of reasons why, but for us as recruiters, we may just have like that maybe instinct. I don't know what you have that instinct when
that gut feeling,
feeling, which is normally 99% right, where a candidate's saying they're interested in the job, but you think in the back of your mind, you're not actually interested in the job. And I think that's just gut feeling from humans to humans that I don't think AI will ever be able to achieve. And that's one of the main reasons why I don't think that it'll ever replace us, because a lot of this is done on kind of how you feel and the gut feeling that you have as people.
Yeah, sure.
And if you guys would agree.
Agreed.
What do you think will then be the biggest challenge that we will face in 2025? Recruiters in general, what is the biggest challenge that they'll face?
I mean, it's easy for, I think any recruiter can, still on the AI topic, I think any recruiter can say, you can't replace us, say that to the clients. But then, of course, if a client is presented an option, especially different agencies, right? We know that working with agencies can be expensive. And if somebody sells you a solution that's, if you use this AI product, you're going to hire the best candidate on the market and it's going to cost you X amount. And if you use an agency, it's going to be in the 10,000s more. It's easy for the client to say, yeah, of course, I'm going to use that solution. And it's a bit harder for you to sell yourself and to sell your expertise on this. So then it depends on the quality of what you've done before and, your company as well. So then we go back to the personal element of, this client can vouch for me or this candidate can vouch for me. But I think that's one of the challenges. And then the applications you touch base on as well before. But nowadays, when I post one job, I do get within 5 minutes, 100, 200 applicants. And then you have to sift through everything. And I think some of them are completely irrelevant as well, which makes it difficult. And that's when you get the understanding of, people are using tools as well to apply massively as soon as there's a new job opening online. They just send their CVs and hope, it sticks. But that's like the two big challenges that I see us facing in the next few months.
I think in general, it puts more pressure, so to speak, on us to make sure that we do add value for other process. Indeed, when it comes down to, okay, where we add the most value is those personal relationships, having that gut feeling. I think it just puts more emphasis on us making sure that we add that value other than something that can be sold by an AI tool. I would say. I think that's probably a big challenge. But I think also managing expectations on the candidate side, right? I was speaking to, on the client side, I was speaking to this client the other day. We're looking for a super niche skill within payments. And when I asked them, okay, so how many candidates do you expect to see? They said, we expect to see 20 candidates. Then you have to manage expectations, right? Because I think their reasoning is, which makes total sense, is one, we have, there's so many skilled people out there. But also, I think with all the redundancies that's going on, I think clients just expect that the market will be flooded with kind of skilled people for the roles they have, and therefore it'll be easy to see 20 candidates. And again, then it's on us to consult. But I think that will probably remain a big challenge in 2025. I foresee, as we hopefully climb out of this kind of rough period we've had in fintech, that there's people on the market. But if you can't find them, that does probably mean that there's not 20 candidates out there who can do this job. Right? We're glad we all agree. That's good.
20 candidates is a lot, I think.
It is a lot, yeah.
It's really funny to hear,
What is maybe a hiring trend you hope doesn't carry over into 2025?
Oh, a hiring trend that doesn't come into 2025. That's happening in 2024 that we would hope clients...
Maybe an experience you've had in 2024 that has been typical for your year or in general, something that you've seen, a trend you've seen and you hope doesn't carry over in 2025.
Over hiring juniors and then firing all of them and hiring one senior person to do the job.
Is that something you've seen, this year?
Yeah, this year especially was because obviously fintech has been, not performing so well. It's been quite rough. And some clients were then in the feeling of let's save some money and hopefully get more people, more brains to solve that one issue that we have with our company, whatever the case is. And hiring 2 or 3 junior people instead of getting that one senior person that's going to be more expensive, but also that's going to be able to get the job done. And so interestingly, what that means is that, those people get here for 6-9 months, which is also getting used to the company, learning the job, learning the product, whatever that is. And then actually that's not working out. We really need a senior person. And it's been really tough to advise clients on that as well, because they always think that you want to, upsell. But that's something that we've seen a lot. Some of my colleagues as well just told me the same. Keep hiring very junior people and having to replace them. And it's just damaging for everyone. Yeah. I really hope that does not carry over.
No. Fair enough. Yeah. What about you, Cal?
Yeah, so trends that are happening this year that I wouldn't want going into next year. I think one that I've heard of is just super long interview processes. I think in the sector that we work in, fintech, it's so competitive. And if I'm sat there from a candidate perspective, and I've got someone looking to do 8-9 interviews, and I've got someone looking to do 3 or 4, that I'm going to have a huge preference to that, obviously 3 or 4 interview process. I feel like after 4 interviews, you should have a good understanding of what that type of person's like. So I'd say that. I think that people can definitely lose good people due to longing that process out.
Yeah. I'm going to say lowballing candidates is something I've seen probably this year more so than previous years, just because budgets are tight. And again, clients expecting, they're looking for a job and there's enough people on the market, so they'll accept a lower offer. But it's the worst when you've managed expectations on both sides. What's the budget? What's the salary you're looking for? Is it still the same? Yeah, it matches with the budget. And then at the end, when push comes to shove, they offer 5 to 10K below even their current salary. Yeah. It's just a waste of time for everyone.
Such a waste of time,
I mean, it's fine if you can't meet their expectations, but flag that earlier in the process rather than doing it at the end when everyone's wasted time, people gotten excited. Because it doesn't look good on any of us. No. Not on the client, not on us.
Yeah, and you lose the trust and confidence on each side as well.
Exactly,
Yeah, and it doesn't make you as a candidate feel valued, does it? If you're getting offered under what you think you're at. And I think it's just starting on a really bad foot. Even if you do get you negotiate and get a higher salary,
Yeah.
I think you're just straight off thinking they don't think I'm worth this because they've not offered me that. But then there's a caveat. I also do understand that clients have to be competitive, and also sometimes candidates will say they're on more than they necessarily are. But yeah, I would agree. I think that's
That's
cool.
on us. I think our job to figure that out, right? Indeed, what are they on, and keep testing that. There are different approaches to finding out what the actual number is. Also in a negotiation, but to then know that number and then go down on it, just hoping that they would accept. It's the worst, even when the candidate then accepts.
And how often
crying in the corner? No,
but
could
it's
have got
more
it more.
than how does it make up look? You know, you get a number from a candidate, said it would accept. If it were below that, they wouldn't. Then they accept the number below it, and you're like, okay, yeah,
Doesn't make you good,
no.
And how often does that actually happen in practice? So maybe a percentage. How many of your clients, or this year, or clients that you've seen in the team, has that happened? Like, is this a massive percentage where clients are all doing it, or
I'd say like 25%.
25% global?
Which is a massive increase from the previous years.
Yeah.
You used to be able to tell your client, this is the number, sure, and then that's it.
Indeed, and then negotiate it, and we're able to put on a bit more. I think in like the heydays, it was easily 20% bump on your current salary you could get. Because people were just desperate to hire.
Yeah.
2021, 2022.
Yeah. But now it's reverse. Candidates are desperate to get the job. So
but also not always, you know. I think candidates look for a couple of things in a job, and one of them being stability. And I think that will remain the same in 2025.
Sure.
If you get a client that says one thing and then offers you something else, there is an element of saying, okay, how much stability is there? Actually, you know, because it clearly can't fit your budget in the end, but you said it was in the beginning. So what has changed over these last couple of weeks so quickly? Are you under pressure for your bottom line, or what makes you go down to that number?
Yeah. And then digging into the detail a little bit more. So 25% of clients have lowballed our candidates on the permanent side this year. Say, how many, maybe as a percentage again, how many of a percentage have we managed to still get the candidates to take the job?
I'd say probably off the 25%, let's say it's 25 jobs, I would say probably 10 jobs that we were still able to fill.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
That's the interesting trend as well. I think, right? Clients get rewarded for it.
Clients can still take candidates even when that happens.
Some do. I mean, some don't, and then they lose out on the candidate.
It's definitely a risk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you really want someone, you should do everything you can to not have risks in that process, shouldn't you?
Exactly, yeah. What do you think 2025 will look like in terms of hiring trends, demand for people, supply of people?
From the conversations that I've had end of year, it is picking up already a little bit more than it was. So I think that's interesting. That's also, maybe it's like a very optimistic view as well. You always want, there's going to be tons of jobs. It's going to be great. I'm going to be so overworked. Love it. But that's the general idea. I think a lot of people are also ready. Quite a lot of senior people, I think this year we're not ready to move on because high volatility market means you don't really want to risk anything, as we said, right? And I think now people are ready to take on a new challenge, take on a new risk because it has stabilized a little bit more. So I don't know. It depends, again, what industry you work in, right? So I want to say more jobs.
I think there's a lot of optimism in the market for sure. Yeah, when you speak to people now, clients and candidates alike, and you ask them how they felt last year around this time, then they generally feel more positive about 2025.
Yeah. I think we can probably all agree last year was such a tough year for the fintech industry. This year has been so much better.
Yeah.
And it still feels like there's been even more security in the market. So, I'm thinking it will be really positive next year. Obviously, who knows? There's still a lot of uncertainty in the world, which I think played a massive factor last year. But I think from last year to this year, it's really been positive.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping next year is going to have a similar reflection. It's just going to be an upwards trajectory. But this is normal in recruitment, isn't it? At some point in any industry, there's going to be kind of peaks and troughs. And we definitely had a big trough last year. But hopefully it continues to rise.
What do you think it will do on the freelance side of things? I mean, you're obviously heading up the freelance side of the business. What do you think will happen in 2025 with regards to freelance?
Yeah, I've got a lot of hope for freelance. And the reason being is this year, maybe slightly contradictory to what I just said, there has been a lot of redundancies at clients and a lot of layoffs, which has obviously been very, very difficult for people. But what that brings is as soon as those projects or clients get busier again, they don't have the people and they need people quickly to deliver for their clients. And that's where freelance comes in, because we can just really, upskill their team, put a team together or put a specialist in so much quicker than a permanent candidate would be able to join if they're already in a job. So I actually see on the freelance side when clients are maybe going through a rough time and making redundancies, it's normally quite a positive sign for the freelance industry. I think it brings a lot of freelance opportunity because they're just not equipped then to continue on their projects when they start getting busier again.
Yeah.
So we've seen a really strong trend of freelance rising this year. And there's a legislation coming in the Netherlands specifically, which people are a little bit uncertain, which is a bit like an IR35, but a watered down version in the Netherlands. I don't think it's really going to affect much, but that's maybe causing a little bit of uncertainty. But overall, I would say in the regions we specialize in, which is mainly in Europe at the moment in freelance, I can just see it's going to keep growing.
Do you think there's more of a drive then as well for temp to perm kind of solutions? Indeed, because they are then starting with freelance, but then wanting to hire them perm, and candidates also being more open to that given new regulation or maybe stability that they're looking for? Or do you think this will be a case of client trying to push it, but the candidate not being interested because when they're a freelancer, they want to stay freelancer because they see what they can earn?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because I was asked this question by a client in the last week. One of our good clients is looking for people in January. Then they are a smaller business that have just received funding and they're looking to grow really quickly. They obviously want people to be in the team and joined, have a real strong focus of where they're going to be in the future. And I think there's no denying permanent staff usually give more of a long-term feeling in a team, and freelancers don't necessarily do that, but they've asked us to find people because they need people quick that would go freelance to permanent. And I'm always really realistic with clients. I say 90% of freelancers will not take a permanent position because freelancers, once they've gone freelance, they've got enough experience and they've got into the groove of it, unless there's a big legislation change, for example, like there has been, especially in the UK, it's hard to persuade a freelancer to go into a permanent position unless they really love the opportunity and love the team. So it is doable. There's 10% of people that would. And like you say, with the legislation changes, people would be more open to it, especially here in the Netherlands. I've actually got a candidate who's freelance, would be open to it, that I'm going to be sending through. But yeah, overall, they're quite hard to find, those temp to perm people, because freelancers like to stay freelance.
Yeah.
There's a lot of benefits once you get good at being freelance.
Exactly. Yeah. You get a lot of projects, right? You see different projects.
Yeah.
You can obviously have, you earn more in that sense. I mean, you don't really think about pension then yet because that's something that you have to take care of yourself. So
true.
But it's an interesting setup. Yeah.
True. But the rates that freelancers get paid, you can cover pension and sick care and holidays and there's always going to, I think another thing is we mentioned different projects and everything like that, but one of the biggest reasons that freelancers will stay freelance is financials. Like it is just the truth. They get paid so much more. And yeah, there's some employees just permanent contracts can't equate the difference. So
is the biggest reason for freelancers going permanent that they don't like the instability and unpredictativeness maybe of freelance?
Yeah, and more people are going into freelance, which is making obviously that market more watered down and also it's more people going for the same job. So it can be quite difficult as a freelancer to get a job sometimes, dependent on the position you're in. And especially anything can change your personal life. You might have a couple of young kids and that makes a big difference. I think that's actually one important one to know is I have seen a lot of freelancers go into permanent positions when they start having children or a younger family, because then you have a lot more uncertainty, don't you, in the freelance market?
Makes sense, yeah.
If anything happens. So yeah, there's obviously reasons, but yeah, 90% of freelancers usually won't go into a permanent position if offered.
So back to the original question, it sounds like we're all very optimistic about 2025 in terms of fintech hiring.
I think so, but I think we're also normal after January, after the actual election, after the new US president is there. In station.
No.
I don't know.
Don't know what it is.
Election day, D-Day?
No, they already elected him, right? So it's
inauguration?
Help us out.
Yeah, I'm not American.
Inauguration, no?
Inauguration, thank you. Yeah, that's it, yeah. Glad you got there, Vince.
Yeah.
No.
Took it a little while. Yeah.
I have no idea what that word is.
Inauguration.
Inauguration.
No, it doesn't ring any bells.
Inauguration day.
No.
It's when he swears on the Bible and everything, too.
Yeah, I don't think they do that in the UK. That sounds very American.
When there was no one on Capitol the first time.
Maybe
we're getting
a
little bit psyched.
Yeah, we are a little bit.
Anyway,
Sorry, but apologies.
But yeah, do we think, and this might sound like a stupid question, but do we think the US presidency has a big kind of control over the European fintech market?
Yes.
And if so,
indirectly, I think.
You do,
might
yeah.
not necessarily have a direct effect on Europe fintech, but definitely indirectly. Maybe also from a funding point of view, it becomes more interesting to invest into US than it becomes to invest into Europe. It's a trickle-down effect, right? You get less. You get companies in Europe being under more pressure because of import tariffs to the US, for example, then having to raise prices, costs increasing. That means that profits go down. That means that redundancies need to happen. That means that less money will be spent, which will have an impact on fintech, obviously, and on payments. There'll be therefore less funding because it's less of a growth market anymore. So I do think that it could have a big impact potentially.
Yeah, 100%. Because anything that happens in the US, as you said, it's a trickle-down effect, right? It happens there, and then a few months after it hits the EMEA region. And just take into account what happened when SVB fell. It was a shit show in Europe as well. And it's a bank that's in the US. And speaking to a lot of candidates now for this position that we're working on within blockchain, kind of digital assets, a lot of candidates are also considering changing positions because perhaps what Trump is going to say or do or agree on within blockchain regulations is going to have a massive effect because he named someone head of a blockchain AI czar office or something. Like the title is absolutely ridiculous. But so yeah, that's already having kind of an impact. So just bracing ourselves to see what's going to happen, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Watch this space. Great, guys. Thanks for that. That was a fun conversation.
Yeah. Loved it.
Choose one lie. It's good to get more stories that we have, I guess.
Yeah.
That's prediction for 2025. Watch this space.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you.